what? What's my perspective?
So I heard you say something as you left the house a little bit earlier about the greenhouse.
Was I buttering? Oh, I deny everything. It did not happen. I said nothing. The cold weather coming on, it is definitely nice to be out there or have something enclosed that when you open the door from here, all the heat goes out there and it keeps it on a good bright day, it keeps it very comfortable and even somewhat warmish. If the sun goes down, it's somewhat coolish, but it is definitely workable. Also, the tools and the other stuff that doesn't fit in here seems to work very well on the porch.
Am I putting words into your mouth or just trying to help you remember the things we've already talked about?
Blink twice if you
blink twice.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how else to interview him, guys.
So.
Everybody wants to hear what the sane person in the relationship thinks about the off-grid and the tiny house and everything like that. And so we've made a list of things to talk about. And we're going to try and remember to compare oranges to oranges and apples to apples because we are addressing three things: off-grid, tiny house versus conventional versus big. We have a lot of topics in here. So first off, everybody is curious, do you like the improvements I've made since you were gone?
Yes, I like the improvements that you guys have done. It feels much, as I first walked in, it felt like, oh, this is a quaint little cabin, not, oh, this is a shed that we're working on.
Right.
Okay.
So, do you like the plastic? That is somewhat unconventional, but to me it feels like it works as a really nice workshop in a space where you can work not cramped in on each other in the house, but almost like an outside working space.
Okay, I think the greenhouse idea was a really good one. And I believe that, yes, you did the very best you could with it. And I think that it works very, very well.
The best that I could with it? I don't understand.
Okay. So the goal of what we're doing is not to spend any money or spend a very minimal amount of money. So short of putting up polycarbonate panels all the way around the place, there's not really much more that you could have done with it.
And that's what my mom wanted me to do. She wanted me to put up the ridged plastic, the rigid boards, which I've used on greenhouses before, but they're $18 per panel. And so it cost me $20, maybe $30 to put the plastic up. And it was an experiment. It was like, let's see if this works. We really don't know if the plastic will last through winter because of our wind. So the other concern that I had was that once summer came, we wouldn't want those panels up because it would create a greenhouse on the front of the house. And my concern was, once I take those panels down, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep them safe from kids and critters. Where would I put them that would be safe enough that they wouldn't be damaged? Because I would have over $200 in panels, wouldn't I?
Yep. And yeah, where to put them, where to hold them,
where to store them when they're not in use. In the summer, even then, we had problems because the wind would blow around the corner and try to blow our propane cook stove off. But we didn't want the cook stove in here because it would heat up the inside of the shed. So it is a work in progress. And again, the point is to spend as little as possible to make it work. What else? We added the wood stove since you left because you left in the middle of summer when it's still quite warm. And since then, we've had huge temperature drops. Had nights down in the high teens. And we were freezing to death. So while we were waiting for the Ruckamaz heater, the little camp stove came in.
And it's amazing how nice a fire is. Of course, being the size that stove is and the size that we have to heat, I think they were perfect. It's almost like it was meant to be.
But you did have some concerns.
Of course I had concerns. There's differences in design than what I would have thought. So I had my worries, which have since been subdued. And
what were your worries?
I am sitting here like I am in most of your projects, just sitting back and taking it all in and analyzing. And I don't have an opinion either way right now with it.
Okay. I know for me, when we had the big wood burning stove in the house, we were careful that if the stove had been acting weird, that we kind of listened to it with half an ear at night. We just did, because a wood burning stove in the house is an open flame in your home, with a chimney that could have smoke issues or creosote buildup. I think it's a wonderful heat. I think as long as you're alert and you're awake and you're conscious, it's really easy to sidestep things. I think my concern is when you go to sleep at night and you're not there to monitor that wood stove like you are during the daytime, you can have problems with any kind of wood burning stove. Or even with electricity. If a kid drops something on it, it's one of those things where due diligence.
Yeah. And it actually gets to a point of sleeping with an eye open. Because last night I smelled smoke and it was strong, and so I don't know what happened, if the stove back puffed or
it was
what,
me.
but I jumped. You back puffed?
No, I was downstairs building a fire, and I had a fire that got hotter than I wanted it to. I had a fire that got hotter than I wanted it to. And I was a little concerned about the placement of the coals because the stove looked like it was heating up and getting a little hotter than I wanted to. So instead of putting the wood in, waiting for my 15 minutes to just make sure that it wasn't going to get too hot, I ended up staying up for another hour just to make sure that it wasn't getting too hot before I went to bed. I waited for it to peak and start coming down the other side before I went to bed. Because it does take a little bit more cranial work with these kind of tools to make sure your family's safe. It's not as simple as flipping a switch and assuming that everything is safe.
Correct.
So we wanted to make sure, again, that we're comparing things apples to apples and oranges to oranges. So we're going to start with off-grid versus on-grid, as me being the person who appreciates the experience of being off-grid, and you being the person who really appreciates the amenities of on-grid.
Okay. Now I want to add a caveat here. I don't disparage the off-grid living, and it is fun from time to time, and there's benefits that I see health-wise in somebody who wants to go off-grid. Over the summer I could sleep better because there was no electronic noise going on. No EMFs as they are, I guess. Even the most difficult parts are still doable.
Yes. And that being said, I also, in living in the tiny house, it's been an experience, but it hasn't necessarily meant that I'd want to live like this for the rest of my life without some very major convenience changes. Like, for instance, having, running water has been a big deal, and plumbing of any kind is a big deal. And so I'm not saying I necessarily want water in the house, and I don't want plumbing in the house. But I feel like there are easier ways of doing that, safe ways of doing that, that I'm not doing now.
Now, I just want to make sure you realize you do have running water, right? Your 8-year-old is running water all day long.
She is. She's running water not all day long. Anyway, so let's get back to the topic at hand. So when we transition from off-grid to us being back with John in Oklahoma, I'm anticipating that it will be a good experience as well. We've lived on grid before. I've lived off grid before. It's having done it as an adult now, it definitely helps you appreciate the value of a washing machine and the value of an 8-year-old who can run water. Because if I was running water and doing the laundry for 4 people, that would be pretty tricky. If I was one person doing laundry for one person, it's not a big deal. But the more people you have in your family, the more everybody really has to help each other if you're in an off-grid situation. Because and not in a small way, in a large way. Most of the day you're working and moving and doing something to help your family run smoothly.
Yes.
So, I think we were kind of meant to do what we did, where we picked up and left for a year. It's been a total 180 degree. 360, what am I thinking?
180.
A 180. It feels like we came full circle.
Then that is a 360.
Yeah, we came full circle, and I feel like us being able to do this has been eye-opening and educational. Good for the kids, good for us, help us see what our priorities are and how to attain our goals. Learn what we didn't like about this property, learn what we did like about this property. learn what we like about the lifestyle, learn what we didn't like about the lifestyle.
Yeah.
I feel no regrets about not being in that house anymore. I do not like to clean for 2 hours a day, then just come in from working out in the garden to find that it's been destroyed again. That is not my favorite thing in the world. So what is your lifestyle preference? Because we come at it from 4 different reasons and from different directions. Mm-hmm. And I know what I believe my preference for lifestyle is. Mm-hmm. It's not this necessarily. It's kind of a compilation of the different lifestyles.
See, mine's a gray area too. For the most part, I say plug me up to the grid. Turn on all the lights and the heater and the air conditioner, and maybe not at the same time, but it's nice to have running water and running hot water, just turning on a valve. And at the same time, there's things like silence and a wood stove and not having electronic noise around you, not having a phone that's going off. So there's shades of nice in both of them.
I think for me personally, for showers, what I'd really like is to have a little sauna very close to the house with a little rocket mass heater in it that you can go in and take your shower in the sauna room and have it be a gray water system so that you don't have water, again, the moisture in the house. And that way, if you wanted a sauna and you wanted to go out and have the steam experience and everything, you could have it and it would heat up quickly. There wouldn't necessarily be a lot of cleanup. I would like that. I like the
coming up on Dirtpatcheaven.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think showers in the summertime are nice. I think next year I would screen in the outdoor shower. I would screen it in so that the flying insects couldn't get at you quite as easily while you were showering. And so it might actually be a good idea to rethink the outdoor shower and instead turn it into a sauna system, so that you could take your summer showers in the sauna and your winter showers in the sauna, and in the winter you would just turn on the wood burning stove too. But I would have to rethink that because there's too big a chinks between the boards to be able to hold any heat in at this point. What else would I change? Pretty much it's just watering and hygiene system. I enjoy the wood burning stove. I'd still want a wood burning stove. I'd still want the summer kitchen space, but I do want to keep water away from the house. I like having a fridge. I like making sure that we're safe that way. And I like having a little bit of electricity so that I can plug in my computer so that I can work. But other than that, I feel like this is pretty ideal. I would like it to be a little bit bigger if we were to live in it forever, because John really has no place at all. Not even a hook that he can call his own. Because in order for this to work, I have to hyper-manage it. Nothing can be left down. Everything has to be put up. It has to be done a certain way. So there really is no space for John to live.
Go ahead, dear. Right?
There's really no place for him to just to be able to sit there and not be henpecked. And I recognize that. And so if there was one thing I would change, it would be for John to have a man cave and to feel comfortable in it. But I think his man cave would be about the size of the house. So I don't think this is
made out of concrete.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think that this is an ideal situation for a family that isn't an apocalyptic situation. If it was an apocalyptic situation, we would all, roll with it. We would have to live in this situation. It would have to be good enough. And there would be the drill sergeant, the sergeant major that would come out to make everything work. And that would be a different situation, though, than the one we're in, which is we have a choice. And I think we should choose a house that's bigger. I think
what we're both saying is that there's good on the other side, and going purist on either way might not be everybody's cup of tea. This is your phone.
Melanie, I can't talk right now.
Yeah, put the compose new message and say, I'm making a video.
So there's the conversation you guys have been asking for, John's opinion versus my opinion about the tiny house and the off-grid. And so I think this will probably be the last time we talk about this while he's here on the visit. I think that was pretty comprehensive. So hopefully that was enough for you guys. And check in while we're trying to get things finished. John's going back to Oklahoma, and we will be following him hopefully soon. We're really hoping for the first week of November, but the rocket mass heater still isn't finished, and we have to have it finished before we can leave. Otherwise, it's too much of a build-up. Too much of a build-up, and then we never show you. So there's that. We're glad to have him home for the week. It's been nice.
Good to be home.
Yeah.